Column form subtraction with negative numbers. 2-digit subtract 2-digit, day 1. Welcome, students. By now you should have practiced expanded form subtraction with negative numbers and horizontal form subtraction with negative numbers. After doing those two types of strategies, this one will be very easy for you. This is actually my favorite form, but at the same time, if you haven't practiced with expanded form, you really need to practice it before you try this form. This is a faster and more efficient way, but expanded form teaches you how to do it better. But now that we've talked about it, grab your whiteboards and let's get ready to work. In column subtraction, using negative numbers, you're going to write your problems just like you do normally with them written vertically. So here's the problem with 43 subtract 26. Now, with this form, it is absolutely important that you call the numbers by their value still, which is what we practiced in expanded form. But now we're going to subtract the tens column. So we're going to just subtract 40 subtract 20. And the answer is 20. So we write 20 there. Okay, so we did this column. And we said 40 subtract 20. And we wrote the 20 because that's the answer in the tens column. Now we're going to do the ones column. So we will take 3 minus 6. Now notice that the 6 is larger than the 3. So just like we've been practicing, that's going to be a negative 3. And that is the value of the ones column. Then you're just going to do another column subtraction and say 20 subtract 3. And the answer equals 17. And you should know that because you know that 3's partner is 7. And you took some away, so 20 subtract 3 equals 17. Let's try another one. 75 subtract 29. So we're going to subtract the tens column. Notice the bigger digit is in the top, so we're going to have a positive number. So 70 minus 20 equals 50. We've been practicing that kind of subtraction all year. Now we're going to subtract the ones column. Notice, though, that the 9 is larger than the 5. So we're going to have a negative number. Whenever the larger number is on the bottom, we're going to have a negative number if we just subtract going down. So 5 subtract 9 equals 4. You can see that the 50 comes from my tens column. The 4 comes from my ones column. Now we're going to use our partners to do the rest of the problem. So 50 subtract 4 is 46. And that can be done with our partners. Okay, great. All right, let's start with our tens column. So 50 subtract 10. Notice I'm not calling it a 5. I'm not calling it a 1. It's in the tens column. So that's a 50 and this is a 10. So 50 subtract 10 equals 40. That's the answer you get when you subtract the tens column. Now 4 subtract 7. Notice the 7 is larger. So I'm going to be in the negative numbers. So 4 subtract 7 equals negative 3. That's the value of my ones column. Now I just use my partners, and I know that 40 subtract 3 equals 37 because 7's partner is 3. Great job. And again, all we do in this kind of subtraction is subtract going straight down the column. The reason it's called column subtraction is because that's exactly what we're doing. We're subtracting the columns. But if the larger number is on the bottom, we're going to have a negative number. So I can be like all set up, ready to go. I know this is going to be negative because my 8 is larger. So now I can start my problem and say 30 subtract 10 is a 20. That came from my tens column. Now I will subtract 5 minus 8, which the 8 is larger, so it's going to give me a negative 3. Remember, if you're struggling to do that, do a break apart on the 8, take away what you started with, and then the second number tells you how far in the negative or how far below 0 you went. And then 20 subtract 3 is 17 because you know your partners and you know that 7's partner is 3. 42 minus 16. Notice the 4 is larger, but my 6 is larger. So if you'll remember, that means my ones column will be a negative number. Now we can just subtract our columns. So subtract your tens column. 40 subtract 10 equals 30. That's your tens column. Now subtract your ones column. 2 subtract 6. We already put our negative because we knew the 6 was bigger. So 2 subtract 6 equals a negative 4. Well, if I take 4 away from 30, my partner to 4 is 6, and I'm in the 20s now because I took a few away. So 26. Number 7, or 7th problem here. Now, 50 subtract 4. A lot of times kids miss this problem because they look at it and think it's super easy. They're like, oh, I know that answer, but they don't stop to think about this 4 is going to give you a negative number because it's greater than 0. So let's work it out. 50 subtract 10 equals 40. 0 subtract 4 equals a negative 4. 40 subtract 4, I know my partners, so it's 36. All right, 95 minus 74. Find your big values. The 90's bigger than the 70. Oh, the 5 is bigger than the 4, so this is actually an NSN. And the answer would be 21. Now, if by chance you don't notice that, it'll still work out as long as you're paying attention. So 90 minus 70 equals 20. 5 subtract 4 is a positive 1 because 5 is bigger. 20 plus 1 is 21. But really, you should just write NSN, no strategy needed. The answer is 21. Those are perfect. That's why we pay attention to our problems and look to see where the bigger digits are. Number 98 minus 79. So the 90 is bigger than the 70, and the 9 is larger than the 8. So we know that we're going to have a negative in the ones column. Subtract the tens. 90 minus 70 equals 20. 8 subtract 9 equals a negative 1. So 20 subtract 1 equals 19. Can you see why I love these problems? I just love the way they work out. Notice the 9 is bigger than the 2. We'll subtract the tens column. There's nothing to subtract from the 70 because there's nothing in the tens column down there. So it's just 70. And then 2 subtract 9 is a negative 7. Remember, you can always break that apart and say, oh, first I'll get rid of the 2. There's 7 left to subtract. So 2 subtract 2 equals 0. 0 minus 7 is negative 7. 70 minus 7. Well, if we're at 70 and we take some away, we're going to be in the 60s. And then 7's partner equals 3. Great. 62 subtract 41. All right, check for your larger digits. 60 is larger than 40. 2 is larger than 1. Oh, both the bigger digits are on the top. Just subtract the columns. 60 minus 40 is 20. 2 subtract 1 is 1. 21 NSN. Great job today with column. Again, if you've been practicing your expanded form and practicing your horizontal, column is just a more efficient and a faster way to write them and to do them. Great job.